I welcome all of you to day 2 of our training on web design and development. In our last training, I showed us the 3 basic softwares, the tools that we need in order to start our web development. And the first one is VS Code, which you can get from their website code.visualstudio.com. After that, I said we should also get WordPress from wordpress.org. You click on download and then you click on get WordPress. Then from get WordPress, it will redirect you to the download page where you can download the WordPress. And we need XAMPP. I also gave us their web address apachefriends.org. From here, you can download it for Windows or any other operating system that you are using. Now, XAMPP, you need to download and install it. VS Code, you download and install it. WordPress, you just download it and have the file on your system. And once you get these softwares installed, we are going to start with Visual Studio Code. So I have installed mine. I'm going to launch it. In our Visual Studio Code, we are going to start writing our code. So I'm re-recording this class because our live training, we had a lot of delays and we had to repeat a lot of things over and over again, and it made the recording to be so long. So I don't want that situation, it will be so long for people to follow or to watch. So I decided I'm going to record the lesson so that people can easily follow through. So here I have my VS Code. When you launch your VS Code, you are going to get something like this. The first thing we need to do is to create a folder that will contain all the files that we are going to create in the process of writing codes. All our codes are going to all be installed in a single folder. So for that, we are going to click on open folder, and then make sure that your folder is stored on the desktop. So you click desktop, you click on new folder, then you give it any name of your choice. Let me just give this class COC. Then I click select folder, and it is going to open the folder for me in VS Code. You can see the folder is right open here. Okay, so every other thing we are going to be doing will be kept inside this folder. Let me also open my Windows Explorer, navigate to the folder on my desktop. I called it class COC. Hope I get it. Class COC. Okay, here it is. So right now we have nothing inside this folder. Then after creating this folder, we need to install an extension that will help us to preview our code without always refreshing our web browser. So right here, you can click on this tab that is here, which is called extension, and then you search for live server. Now, this live server, what it does for us is it helps us to refresh our web browser anytime that we write a new code and we save it. So you click on this first one by Ritwik Day, and then you're going to see install button here. You click on it to install it. Once it is done installing, you can close this up, and then if you look down here at the footer or the taskbar of this Visual Studio Code, you are going to see go live. All right, so if I click on go live, it's going to launch my browser for me. So just give it a click and give it some time. Now here we are. It has opened a browser for me, and it means that whatever I'm typing on my Visual Studio is going to be showing right here. Now I'm going to use my my keyboard keys to split my screen into two so that I can easily see what I am doing. I'll press my Windows button and then right arrow to move the browser to the right. Click on the Visual Studio Code, Windows button and left arrow. Alright, so I have the VS Code at the left and then I have my browser at the right. Now I'll come back to the folder that we have opened. We need to start with HTML, which I did mention that is one of the programming languages for front-end development. So we are going to create an HTML file. We do that by clicking on this first plus sign here, and I type index.html. I press enter key. Right here we have created HTML file where we can type in our HTML code. I would like to quickly say here that by conventionally the root file of a website is identified by this index. So it is good that you name it index, and I will explain further reason as we continue. So there is a reason why it has to be index. Though you are at liberty to use any name, but for conventional purpose, I want to advise you to just use index.html. Now I'll click on this again to minimize the tab. All right. HTML is a language that is used to structure a website, and it stands for Hypertext Markup Language. That is what HTML stands for. Now, I want to show you some websites like this example website. If I inspect this website, you are going to see that it was developed with HTML. See, the first line of code you are seeing here is the HTML document declaration, which tells us that it was developed using HTML. If I inspect WordPress websites, you will also see that it was developed using HTML. You can see it up here. The same thing applicable to the VS Code website. You see, all these websites were developed using HTML, and that's why you see this document declaration to be the first line of code in any website that you inspect. And for that reason, whenever that we are creating a website, the first thing we need to do is to put the document declaration of the website. All right, I want you to take note of that. If you don't put the document declaration, the browser will not recognize it as a HTML based website. There are a lot of information that I would direct you where you can read it on your own, but right now let's jump into create something. So we are going to start by creating a boilerplate. That is the basic structure of HTML page. I'm going to press on my keyboard Shift and number 1 and then enter. It's going to generate this code for me, and that is what we call the HTML boilerplate. Just listen as I explain. I walk you through what it is all about. So you can see right here that the first line of code we have here is doc type, which is the document declaration, telling our web browser right here that we are using HTML version 5 to write our website. very important. And now, underneath the document declaration is the HTML element. HTML elements is made up of three things. I'm going to write them here. HTML element is made up of three things. And the first thing is what we call the open tag. That is the first component of HTML element. The second component is the content of the tag. And the third component is the close tag. All right. Now, a tag is made up of this open arrow, or I don't know what you can call this, greater than or less than sign. Now you put the tag name. Let's take for instance H1, and then you close it. This is the open HTML tag. This is how an open HTML tag looks like. The close HTML tag looks similar to the open, just that it has this / before the H1. The / is what differentiates between the close tag and the open tag. Now, right in between here, you can put in your content, and the content you put in is what then shows on our website. Now, another thing that we should note is this. The HTML tags helps the browser to know how to display content on the web page. For example, I'm going to show us different headings on our website, and you see that when the web browser is displaying it, it will give us different sizes of text. Why? Because the browser looks at the tags to determine how to display the contents. That we are going to look at it later on. But this is the basic structure. This is the structure of HTML element. And this structure is known as syntax. It's known as syntax. I'm going to get rid of all this. Back to the boilerplate. So here we have the HTML open tag and the HTML close tag. This language attribute, I will talk about it later. Inside the HTML open and close tag, we have the head open tag and the head close tag. At the same time, we have the body open tag and the body close tag. Now, what is the difference between this head element and the body element? The head element contains information that are not visible on our web page. Right here, the information that we have in between the head elements does not show on the web page. The only thing that shows is the title, and the title is shown on the title bar. Then we are going to practicalize all this. So in between this head element, we are going to put in our viewport, link in our external CSS, put the title, and then so many other things. And then just be patient, then we're going to look at them as we proceed. Now, in between the body elements is where we have everything that we want to see on our web page, starting from text to images to buttons to forms to tables to videos, audios, and any item at all that you want to include on your web page. It is to be between these body elements. Now, having said all this, we have been able to explain what an HTML boilerplate is. If you understand the structure of this boilerplate, then you are good to go. Now, our business this time is within these body elements. All right. For now, we can only change the title, and then anything in between the head elements, we don't have business with it for now. Our business is in the body elements. So I'm going to cut this video here and then continue the explanation in the next video.